Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel. Time for another hard rock and heavy metal update. You'll notice in the background, all my albums are gone. There's a TV up there. I'm finally working from home, so I'm kind of redoing this whole room. I'm going to be in here 8 to 10 hours a day now for work, so making it more comfortable. Got a little TV up there so I can watch TV as I'm working. Still going to put some albums and some posters and stuff around it. And then I've got all kind of other spots in the room. Eventually, I'll get this mess cleaned up and do a room tour. A couple people have asked about it. I'm adding some more shelving, and I just got a huge stack, just huge stacks of crap everywhere. So trying to get it somewhat organized, and then we'll do another room tour. But let's just kind of jump in, start off with a little bit of stoner slash psych. From Germany's own Cadaver. This is one of those bands that I've wanted to check out for quite some time and just never ran across their albums. And when I was ordering stuff from, I think it's Nuclear Blast, yeah, from the Nuclear Blast website, there was just other stuff I wanted more. And then I ran across this one used for like 12 bucks at one of my local shops, and went ahead and grabbed it. Really good though. Kind of in the same vein as like Graveyard. I like them a little bit better, but this is still a pretty solid album. And you know, I don't know that I would run out and grab their stuff, but if I run across it in the stores, I will pick it up. Like I said, I dug it. I gave it a couple of spins. I just tend to like Graveyard a little bit better, but of that genre, they're probably my favorite band anyway. Them and maybe Big Elf, who I'm also a fan of. These guys, though, definitely a little bit more of the stoner sound, the doomy stoner sound, than the psych sound that is bands like Big Elf. So next up, I may have shown this one before. I don't remember. I probably showed it when I got it, but pulled it out yesterday and gave it a spin. Just an all-time favorite of mine. A little bit of Helloween, Walls of Jericho. Had a little bit of a tear there, but other than that, it's pretty much near mint. And I picked it up for real cheap. I want to say I picked it up for about 20 bucks. And the early Helloween stuff is starting to go crazy in prices. But I've always loved the artwork of this too. The horn being blown to bring down the Walls of Jericho. Next up, I was kind of hesitant to buy this one. This is a band that I loved their first two albums, and then the third album just kind of bored me. And maybe I'll give it another spin and like it more, but it just didn't do much for me. It had a very droning feel, meaning that it just seemed like they were playing the same riff over and over and over and over. Whereas this one, they went back to their earlier, the sound of the first two. And it's definitely a lot more dynamic, and this may be one of my favorites from the band. But this is Psychosis from Cavalera Conspiracy, and again, I love the artwork of this too. Just really cool. The gatefold. Did a great job with this, and like I've said before, I've talked about this before. Mark Rizzo is on this band. He pretty much does all of the lead guitar on the Max Cavalera projects now. Mark Rizzo is amazing, phenomenal. He put out a neoclassical album a few years ago that just blew my mind. I never knew he was that good of a guitar player. But him and Max just have a really good chemistry. All the stuff on Soulfly. The Cavalera brothers, when they did the Cavalera Experience, or what do they call it? Return to the Roots, Cavalera's Return to the Roots. That was basically Cavalera Conspiracy with Igor on drums. And then I can't remember the bassist, but it's the same bassist from all of the other projects as well. So the only difference between Cavalera Conspiracy and I don't know why I can't get it out right now. His other band is his son is on drums now. With Soulfly, sorry, I don't know why I couldn't get Soulfly out. Max Cavalera's son is the drummer for Soulfly, and Igor, who's 10 times the drummer, is the drummer for Cavalera Conspiracy. Otherwise, the two bands are basically the same. Really good album, though. If you like the first two Cavalera Conspiracies, you're going to like this one as well. Next up, man, I was so happy to finally find this. I've been looking for this for years. Probably 3 or 4 years I've wanted this on vinyl. The prices have gotten pretty crazy. They're going for the $40 to $50 range now here in the US, and I even see a couple on Discogs now for $100, which is insane. But this is the debut album from Moxie, and this is just killer 70s hard rock, Canadian band, 76. You can definitely hear that they had the same influences as Rush. There are similarities. Did Tommy Bolin play? I think Tommy Bolin did a little bit on this one too. I know he did a little bit with them. I think he worked on this a little bit, but killer album. This album has two of my favorite Moxie songs. Out of the Darkness and Moonrider are both absolutely phenomenal. Just killer songs. Really good album. Highly recommend checking out any of the Moxies. I'm only missing one now, and I think it's the last one that they did. I would have to look. Next up, Hometown Band, and definitely a favorite of mine. I was really glad when I saw that they were reissuing this. I actually had an original pressing, but it wasn't in the best shape. And I've come close to winning them a couple times on eBay for decent prices. But for some reason, as of late, the prices have just shot through the roof, and now they're going for like $60. But this is Ignorance from Sacred Reich. Now, I will say I was pretty pissed off at this. I did get it on eBay for like $22. And I ordered it directly from the Metal Blade. It was... it wasn't even... I didn't even win it. It was a buy it now. Sorry, my allergies are insane. Especially moving all this stuff around, the dust is kicking up. But when I ordered this, it was supposed to be in the slime green colored vinyl to match the print, and I got it was black vinyl. So I thought that kind of sucked. But other than that, I like that they've gone back to, this was the original artwork that they wanted for the album, and the label didn't like it. So they went with that, the one with the terrorists taking over or hijacking the plane. I've never been a big fan of that cover, and this does include a poster with that in there. But man, Metal Blade has been doing a great job. These things sound phenomenal. I've given this a couple of spins. Again, this is a hometown band for me. I absolutely love these guys. And I don't know if Scott's going to show it, but this is definitely one of the best albums of 1987. Him and Trog are working on that Best of 87 right now, and that's definitely up there for me. Where do we want to go next? Yeah, we'll do this one and then go to some classics. This is one I forgot how great this album is. I was real hesitant to buy this when it first came out back in 94. I was real excited because this was one of my favorite bands. But the lead guitarist, and probably my favorite guitarist of all time, left the band. And I wasn't sure what to expect. They did change their sound a little bit with this album, but they did it in the right way. And this album is a mind blower. It's definitely in my top 3 or 4 albums from this band. But this is Low from Testament. This was really high on my want list for a number of years. So I was really glad when it finally got pressed to vinyl. I think it was originally pressed, and the prices were just going, they were like $100 and up, if I remember correctly. I may be confusing it with Demonic. This one of them I know wasn't pressed to vinyl, and one was, and it went for crazy money. This is actually, it was pressed by the label, and it was also pressed by MOV. This is the MOV pressing, and it sounds amazing. Just really killer. Highly recommend picking that one up. The song Low is still on their set list, and it's still an all-time favorite of mine. Next two are just going to be two absolute classic albums. Both of them are all-time favorites of mine. I had a repress of this for years. On 10-inch, it's like a 3 10-inch album that has this and a few of the EPs and singles. I've never been happy with the sound of that repress. It just wasn't done that well. It was more of a gimmicky type of thing anyway. So when I saw this for cheap, I think I paid $17 or $18 for it. I had to grab it. It's an original pressing, Fistful of Metal. I just love everything about this album. And one thing I will say with Walls of Jericho, you know, this is an original pressing of Walls of Jericho. Are they both? No, okay. This is a noise pressing. It doesn't sound that great. It's not bad. The volumes are kind of low, and it's just some of the early pressings. You know, everybody talks about originals. Original pressings are not always the best. In this case, they are. This pressing sounds absolutely amazing. Super stoked to finally have this, an original pressing of this. Some of my favorite songs, you got Death Rider. They do one of the best covers of I'm 18. I play that song over and over. Of course, you got Anthrax, Soldiers of Metal, which they still play pretty regularly. Panic, it's just such a great album. Highly recommend it. If you don't own that and you're a metalhead, you're just doing it wrong. And then speaking of, if you're a metalhead and not owning it, you're doing it wrong. I should have pulled it out, but I didn't. Really, really happy to finally have this on vinyl. I have had so many copies on cassette where I've copied it from friends. This is one of my all-time favorite albums right here. When I saw High Roller was repressing it, I had to grab it. I almost bought it about 3 years ago from, give me a second, Rockadrome. Had a copy that was signed by 2 band members and for $100, and it was in really nice shape, and I hesitated, and by the next day it was gone. It was one where they put their list out every month of new additions to the store in an email. I saw it, I went to buy it, I hesitated, and somebody else got it. And it would have been less than that because they were doing a 15% discount too, so it would have been $85. And I had some credit, I'm sure, at that time as well. Regardless, I missed out on it. I haven't seen it come up since then. The High Roller repress sounds amazing. And this is the White Album. Music, Lightning to the Nations, Diamond Head. It's gone by a bunch of different names. There were different variations. I believe there were 1,000 original pressings that were all white. When you pulled out the record, the labels were white, hence the White Album. And they were signed. Some were signed by all the band members, some were signed by one, some were signed by 2 or 3. It just kind of depended. And like I said, the one that I saw for sale had 2 band members that signed it. This one, they replicated it. They're not the first ones to do this. Sanctuary did this back in like 2003 or 2004. They put out, maybe it wasn't Sanctuary. I actually don't remember the name of it wasn't Sanctuary, but they put out a really nice CD version of it. The same thing. And I looked to see if this was a copy of those, and it's not. The signatures are in different places, which is kind of cool. Now, this has already been repressed. This is actually the first pressing from 2017. In February, March of 2018, they pressed it again. This is the white vinyl 2017 pressing. They also did a white vinyl 2018 pressing. As again, a throwback to the White Album theme. Got the lyrics. And what I do like about this is they also add their early singles in too. So the first 2 sides, maybe 2.5 sides, are from the original LP, and then the last few songs, last 5 or 6 songs, are from the various singles and EPs that they put out. They also threw in a really nice book, which is kind of the story of Diamond Head. Oh, there you go. You can see the singles and the EPs right there. Really killer shot of the band playing. And then there you go. There's the Lightning for the Nations version of the repress. It was done a couple years later. Really nice job with that. Let's see if I got it in here. It also had a backstage pass with it. It's sitting around here somewhere. But I've been playing the heck out of this. This is one of those albums that I've heard 1,000 times, and I never get sick of hearing it. And I will give this another spin. Actually, I'll probably give this 5 or 6 more spins before it goes up onto the shelf into my collection. A must-buy. The first pressing sold out really quick. The second pressings, you can still find them in a couple of stores, but if you want a copy of this on vinyl, grab them because, like I said, they're disappearing quick. And then that's pretty much it for this video. Wanted to keep this one kind of short, and I already rambled on longer than I wanted to. And then last but not least, in the background, I talked about this CD. This has not been released on vinyl. Hopefully it does get a vinyl release. But a little bit of Peacemaker. And again, again, this has Ronnie Monroe from Metal Church fame singing on this. He did, I believe, 4 of the Metal Church albums. Again, killer CD. Definitely pick this one up. You can pick this one up at Rocks, at No Life Till Metal, at Boone's Overstock. Pretty much any of those. If you're interested, I'll put a link down below so you can grab it. Highly recommend grabbing that one. That's it, VC. Take care. I'll see you soon.